addressing the ceiling that's falling in and the room is in such bad shape. And Albany has a way of doing that. No matter what we talk about in Albany, we talk about the fiscal responsibility, keeping government out of everybody's way, partnering with us or moving aside, you'll have somebody like the mayor of New York City come in with congestion pricing. You'll have complete chaos, and I believe it. And I'll tell you, I stood on Channel 12 and had an interview one day with the woman who voted for gay marriage, and her and I had to debate the bill. And Channel 12, the interviewer said to me, Assemblywoman, do you think that was fair? I said, do you think it's fair when we're in the worst financial crisis in the state of New York, and the New York State Assembly talks about legalizing gay marriage when people can't even live in their homes? And you know what? The woman who I interviewed with said, you got a point. I said, when you look in New York in the worst shape, and we slow down to have a bill on gay marriage, when you can't live in your home, you know it's thrown on the floor to just make chaos. So they don't really care about gay marriage. They bring it to the table so that we don't talk about the issue of the day. And then you have people who have a clear mind who say, this is smoke, this is mirrors, you are playing games with the people of the state of New York.
First of all, I'd like to say I wish somebody here had had a scandal so we could have gotten the news. We invited them all, and now I know how to get them. Somebody who has had a scandal. I'm a homeschool mom. Randy and I have homeschooled. We have 5 children. We are finishing our 5th child now. He's in 3rd grade. And I know that there's a big homeschool coalition that comes up to Albany once a year and does things. And we have been trying to get some of the regulations, the things that we're required to do that other states are not having to do with the records and things, to get those reformed. And also to allow for the SATs and the CAT to suffice instead of the GED and the stigma of that GED, and that to suffice and other things for work that they've accomplished through high school. So I'd like to know if you've seen any of that legislation or what you feel, because you're actually in Albany, and how we might get some of that done in this. New York is tough to homeschool in this state.
And I appreciate that you do do it, because that alone is to take the time and the involvement to educate anyone, but certainly your own children, to be committed. This is how I've taken the philosophy of Albany. When we're in Albany and people from home come to see us on a Tuesday, it's busy, it's crazy, you never know what's going on. For some reason, it just goes crazy. So this summer, I decided to do things very differently. I would have open appointments on Friday. People would stop issues that say you would come to Albany, but I kept it over the summer. So my last appointments of the day would be constituents who had come to Albany and didn't have our full attention or full time. And then I would keep the appointment open so it could stay an hour, 2 hours, just to really get into the meat and potatoes. So I'd offer you that. We go to Albany, I think, again, a lot of times, it's like a class trip for a lot of organizations, and, they lobby their people, and they come up to Albany. But as a legislator, truthfully, even as any business person, you're in a room for so many hours, you're hearing people, you're not really hearing them anymore, because you got to go vote, you're looking, you're making sure. So I would offer it to get a group of legislators in home, back here, and really just talk about it when we're not in that kind of environment that it's a rush. And they do Tuesday lobby days to intimidate legislators who do not go along with the flow. The right to bear arms on a Tuesday when it's gun day, they treat the people so poorly. They make security less so that it takes more time to come through security, and they just lock you up all day with appointments that you're behind, hours behind. It's so unfair, but we see the trend, because even when the pro-life people come to Albany, they're put into a room that's so small and it's so loud outside. There's no respect to anybody. It's respect for what they believe in, the respect of just New York City, not us. And I know that I'm supposed to take the questions, but when it comes to the New York base, it's so pathetic. But we've seen more and more legislators who are getting elected outside of New York City who really want to change, and they know that they cannot work in that kind of dysfunction. And we're seeing more and more of them breaking away from the, almost like hypnotized of what one man is telling them to do. And it's sad, because you have legislators who have been there for a while, have worked very hard, and then you have have legislators that are vote for Shelley. They vote for the speaker on anything. Anything the speaker says, they vote for. They have no other way of functioning except what he says. And you know, as the minority party, the 42 of us, we read the bills, we go to conference, we talk. And a lot of our majority members say, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Well, you know why? They're not reading the bill. They're going with one man's vote. And you know, that's really, I mean, even their district. And something a lot of people don't realize, in say the 97th Assembly District, we have 50,000 people that come out to vote in my district. 130,000 people I represent. In New York City, 130,000 people, they might only have 900 people to go vote. So of course they're electing, you know, their legislators, they're keeping it the base so small. They don't want to register people. They don't want people to know what's going on. And when we ask our colleagues, how many people go in your election to vote? 1,300. And we have 50,000. That's ridiculous. Yeah. The people don't care. And there are people in New York City that are frustrated because they're not registered to vote. Yes.
Would you be willing to make the issue of voting on a bill that you haven't read into the criminal law and make it a felony?
Without a doubt, and it is a crime. And you know, it's insulting, it's a crime, and it's truly, even when you speak to the Ways and Means chairman, he comes out, I don't even think he's prepared. He just comes out, stands there, and he says, I don't know, I have no idea, everything's a joke. You know, and you leave there in such frustration. And, you know, as the minority party, we vote down to say, no, this is insulting that you have 600 pieces of paper that are worn off a printer, and you're voting on a bill, budget bill. Nancy and I were in the hallway the other day with a group there, I'm not going to say who they were, and they were saying, we want your support on a bill that's inside the budget. And Nancy and I both said, no, you're not going to even have time to read this. Why would we vote for it? And basically, they're going to go into the room and get 40 other people who think it's a great idea. You know, and we're the ones who are saying, no way. And if you know Nancy Cameron, she's tough. She looks right at them and says, no way. You know, and I'm looking at her saying, you're right, Nancy, no way. And, you know, it takes, you know, two redheads to keep saying, no way, no way. But,
you mentioned you were in office now for 5 years, you said?
I'll be 6 years.
6 years? Okay, so I'll move my term limit up to maybe 8 years. And I thank you very much for the strong support that you give us, Orange County Right to Lifers. I appreciate that. Many moons ago, when Joe Bruno was just practicing to get ready for prison, we brought to him a bill called school tax abatement. Are you familiar with that at all? Okay. That seemed to have disappeared somewhere up there. Would you support a tax abatement school bill?
I too went in under the impression when I got their term limits, because I really do think in a few years, my personal opinion, I'm probably going to want to have another career or do something, my personal opinion. But what happens in Albany, an example, we have a governor right now that who's going to be leaving. Now, if somebody loses an election, yay! Chris Christie for president. If we have a governor who's leaving, and he has all these open commissions, with there's 640 commissions in the state of New York where people are sitting on cushion jobs. He now fills all those spots because they lost the election, they're his friends. So the damage is done. Beyond them losing an election, the insult, they get to sit on a board now and get paid very well because they have a political hook. So I don't even that, as much as we say term limits, that's fine, but how do we keep them off these commissions from sitting there and taking this great salary for doing nothing?
One step.
Speaking of a political hook, your time's up.
Thank you.